They laughed when she asked for room service. They called security instead of helping her. But none of them knew. The woman they humiliated owned everything above their heads. Stay till the end. This story will change how you see power, patience, and dignity. Before the story begins, subscribe to Black Inside 2.0, where real emotions meet powerful life lessons. Your support helps us bring more meaningful stories like this to you. The crystal chandeliers of the Grand Wellington Hotel shimmered like frozen stars, casting warm golden light across marble floors polished so perfectly they reflected every step. This hotel was not just a place to sleep, it was a symbol. Power, wealth, and exclusivity lived within these walls. And that night, every single person inside believed they knew exactly who belonged there. Except, they were wrong. A quiet arrival, she walked in alone, no assistants, no luxury entourage, no designer coat announcing her worth. She wore a simple red top, a brown leather jacket, and gray jeans. Her hair was neatly braided, her posture calm, her expression steady. She carried no visible signs of status, only quiet confidence shaped by years of discipline and struggle. Her name was Amara Collins. Most people in the lobby didn't even notice her at first. They were too busy laughing, talking loudly, checking phones, or filming content near the reception desk. Amara paused for a moment, taking in the familiar scent of polished wood and fresh flowers. She had not been inside this hotel for nearly 3 years, not since the company's last expansion meeting. Tonight, she was here as a guest. Or at least, that's what she wanted them to believe. Amara approached the front desk calmly. Behind it stood Evan, a young front desk supervisor with perfectly pressed sleeves and a confident smirk. Beside him was Lauren, scrolling on her phone, barely looking up. "Good evening," Amara said gently. "I checked in earlier today. I was wondering if I could order room service." Evan glanced up, then down, then back at her. His smile tightened, not polite, not warm. "Room service," he repeated slowly, as if the word surprised him. "Yes," Amara replied, "just something light, it's been a long day." Lauren finally looked up. Her eyes flickered over Amara's clothes, then to her face, then away. "Our kitchen is very selective," Lauren said. "It's usually reserved for premium guests." Amara blinked once. "I am a guest," she said, still calm. "Suite 1804, Evan let out a small laugh. "Suite 1804, he repeated, louder this time. "Are you sure you've got the right hotel?" A few nearby guests turned their heads. Phones slowly lifted. Amara felt the shift in the air, the invisible weight of judgment pressing down on her shoulders. She had felt it before, many times, but she had also learned something more powerful than anger. Patience. "Yes," she said quietly. "I'm sure." Public embarrassment. Evan leaned back, folding his arms. "Ma'am, we've had issues lately with people wandering in off the street and trying to access hotel services. If you don't have proper verification—" "I do," Amara interrupted softly. "You can check the system." Lauren sighed dramatically. "Look, we're very busy, and room service isn't something we just give out to anyone who asks." A man standing nearby chuckled. Another whispered, "Unbelievable." Someone else raised their phone higher. Amara felt every eye on her. Security was already moving closer. 2 uniformed officers stepped beside her, not aggressively, but firmly enough to make the message clear. "Is there a problem here?" one asked. Evan nodded toward Amara. "She's claiming she's staying in a premium suite. We just want to make sure everything's legitimate." The word hung heavy in the air. Amara looked at the officers, then back at the front desk. "I don't want any trouble," she said calmly. "I just wanted dinner." Her voice did not shake. But inside, memories stirred, years of being underestimated, dismissed, doubted. "Not tonight," she told herself. "Not anymore." The call. Amara reached into her jacket and pulled out her phone. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't argue. She didn't defend herself. She simply dialed a number. Evan rolled his eyes. "Go ahead," he muttered. "Call whoever you need." Amara put the phone to her ear. "Yes," she said softly. "It's me. I'm in the lobby." A pause. "No, everything's fine," she continued. "I just think there's been a misunderstanding." Another pause. Her eyes lifted, steady, focused. "I'll wait." She ended the call and slipped the phone back into her pocket. The lobby buzzed with whispers. "She's bluffing. This is embarrassing. Security should handle it." Evan smirked, confident he was in control. Then, the front desk phone rang. Lauren answered it casually. Within seconds, her face drained of color. She straightened. Yes, sir, I understand." She slowly turned to Evan, her hands shaking. It's the executive office. Evan frowned. What? They want you upstairs, now. The shift. Moments later, the hotel manager rushed into the lobby, tie crooked, face pale. He looked past everyone, straight at Amara. His eyes widened. Oh my goodness, he whispered. He walked quickly toward her. Ms. Collins, he said, voice trembling. I didn't realize you were arriving tonight. The lobby fell silent. Phones froze mid-air. Evan's mouth opened. Ms. Collins, he repeated. Amara met the manager's eyes calmly. I asked for room service, she said. Instead, I was treated like I didn't belong. The manager swallowed hard. I am deeply sorry, he said. This should never have happened. Amara turned slowly, looking at the staff, the security, the guests who had left. Then she spoke, clear, controlled, powerful. This hotel was built on values of respect and dignity, she said. Not appearances, not assumptions. She looked at Evan and Lauren. Effective immediately, she continued, I will be reviewing every staff member involved in tonight's incident. The manager nodded instantly. Yes, Ms. Collins. Evan's face went pale. What is this? He stammered. Amara looked at him, not with anger, but with disappointment. I'm the CEO, she said. And the owner. Aftermath. No one laughed now. No one filmed. The lobby that once echoed with judgment now stood frozen in shame. Security stepped back respectfully. The manager escorted Amara toward the elevators. I'll have your dinner prepared personally, he said. On the house. Amara paused before stepping inside. She turned once more to the crowd. I didn't come here to humiliate anyone, she said. But remember this, how you treat people when you think they have no power says everything about who you are. The elevator doors closed. Silence followed. The lesson. Later that night, Amara sat alone in her suite, untouched dinner cooling on the table. She wasn't thinking about firing staff. She was thinking about how easily dignity is denied, and how quietly it can be reclaimed. Power, she knew, didn't need to shout. It only needed truth. A sleepless night. The city outside Suite 1804 glowed softly as dawn approached. Amara Collins hadn't slept. She sat near the window, a warm cup of tea untouched beside her, watching traffic move like quiet veins through the streets below. The luxury of the suite no longer impressed her. It never really had. What stayed with her was the look on Evan's face. Not fear, not shock, but confusion. The confusion of someone realizing, far too late, that the world was bigger than the assumptions they lived by. Amara exhaled slowly. She hadn't built her career on punishment. She built it on standards. And standards required follow-through. The emergency meeting. At exactly 8 a.m., the executive conference room on the top floor filled quickly. Department heads sat stiffly. Supervisors avoided eye contact. Whispers floated like nervous dust in the air. Every single person had heard what happened the night before. Some details were exaggerated, some softened, none erased the truth. The door opened. Amara walked in, calm, composed, unmistakably in control. The room stood instantly. Please, she said gently. Sit. Her voice was quiet, but it carried weight. She took her seat at the head of the table and placed a slim folder in front of her. I want to be very clear, she began. This meeting is not about embarrassment. It is about accountability. No one spoke. Amara looked around the room. Before I say anything else, she continued, I want to ask you all a question. She paused. What do you believe luxury means? A few executives exchanged glances. Finally, the hotel manager cleared his throat. Excellence, he said. Service, reputation. Amara nodded. Yes. And what supports all of that? Silence. She leaned forward slightly. Respect, she said, for every person who walks through those doors. Her eyes moved slowly across the table. Last night, that respect was missing. The review begins. Amara opened the folder. Inside were printed call logs, security footage stills, staff statements, and guest feedback already flooding the system. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't accuse. She simply read. At 9:42 p.m., a guest requested room service. At 9:44 p.m., staff declined without system verification. At 9:46 p.m., security was contacted without cause. She closed the folder. Procedure was not followed, she said. But more importantly, character was not present. Evan sat rigid at the far end of the table, hands clenched. Lauren stared down at her lap. Amara looked directly at them. Tell me, she said calmly, what made you decide I didn't belong here? Evan swallowed. I didn't mean it that way, he said quickly. We were just trying to protect the hotel. Amara tilted her head slightly. From what? She asked. Or from who? The question landed heavily. Evan didn't answer. The hidden impact. Amara stood. When I was younger, she said, I worked in places like this. I cleaned rooms. I worked late shifts. I watched how people were treated based on how they looked, not how they behaved. Several heads lowered. I promised myself, she continued, that if I ever had the power to change that, I would. She looked around the room. That promise starts here. Consequences, not cruelty. Amara returned to her seat. Effective immediately, she said, the following actions will take place. Everyone held their breath. All front desk staff will undergo retraining focused on bias awareness, yes, dignity, and proper verification protocol. Some sighed in relief. Supervisors who failed to intervene will be placed on probation. The manager nodded solemnly. Then Amara looked at Evan and Lauren. And 2 employees will be released from their roles. The room froze. Evan's face went pale. This decision, Amara said calmly, is not about punishment. It's about responsibility. Leadership is not a costume you wear, it's behavior you live. Security quietly approached. Evan stood, shaken. I didn't know, he said. If I had known. Amara met his eyes. That's the problem, she said gently. You should never need to know. The unexpected moment, as Evan prepared to leave, Amara spoke again. One more thing. He stopped. She stood and walked toward him. I hope you take this moment and grow from it, she said. Because the world doesn't need more anger. It needs more awareness. Evan nodded slowly, ashamed. Thank you, he whispered. And then he will be. A ripple effect. By noon, word had spread through the entire hotel. Staff behavior changed instantly. Doors were held open. Greetings became warmer. Eyes met eyes. Guests noticed. So did Amara. Later that afternoon, a young housekeeper approached her hesitantly in the hallway. Ms. Collins, she asked softly. Yes, Amara replied. I just wanted to say, thank you, the woman said. For seeing us. Amara smiled. I always have, she said. The press request. That evening, Amara's assistant called. The media caught wind of what happened, she said. They want a statement. Amara thought for a moment. Then she said, tell them this. She paused. Luxury isn't about chandeliers or marble floors. It's about how people are treated when no one thinks they matter. Her assistant smiled. I'll pass it on. That night, Amara finally ordered room service. The meal arrived promptly. The server placed the tray down with careful hands. Thank you for staying with us, he said sincerely. Amara nodded. Thank you for your kindness. As she ate, she reflected on the truth she had learned long ago. Real power doesn't embarrass. It educates, it corrects, and it leaves a door open for growth. Amara Collins stood once more in the Grand Wellington lobby. But this time, everything was different. The same chandeliers sparkled above. The same marble floors gleamed. Yet the energy had shifted. People stood straighter. Voices softened. Eyes carried awareness instead of judgment. Amara wasn't there for business. She was there for closure. The invitation no one expected. Earlier that morning, every staff member received an internal message. All employees are requested to attend a brief address in the main lobby at 4 p.m. No details, no explanation. By the time Amara stepped into the space, the lobby was full. Housekeeping, front desk, security, kitchen staff, even guests who sensed something important was about to happen. Amara walked to the center. No podium, no microphone. She didn't need them. The story behind the title. I want to share something with you, she began. Her voice was calm, steady. When people hear the words, CEO, or owner, they imagine power, comfort, privilege. She paused, but they don't imagine where that story often begins. She looked around. I was once the person people didn't look at twice. The one whose questions were ignored. The one people assumed didn't belong. Some staff exchanged glances. I didn't get here by demanding respect, she continued. I earned it by giving it, even when it wasn't returned. The apology that mattered. Amara turned toward the front desk. I want to publicly apologize, she said. Gasps rippled through the lobby. Yes, she continued, not for what happened to me, but for the environment that allowed it to happen. She met the eyes of the employees. Leadership doesn't begin when something goes wrong, she said. It begins long before. The hotel manager lowered his head. We failed you, Amara said gently. And we are committed to doing better. The moment of redemption. From the back of the lobby, a familiar face appeared. Evan, He stood quietly, no uniform, no badge. Murmurs spread. Amara noticed him and raised her hand slightly. "It's okay," she said. "Let him come forward." Evan stepped closer, visibly nervous. "I asked Evan to be here today," Amara said, "not to shame him, but to allow something rare." She turned to him. "Evan," she said, "would you like to say something?" He hesitated. Then he nodded. "I didn't understand the weight of my actions," he said, voice low. "I made assumptions, and I was wrong." He looked at the staff. "I'm sorry, to you, and to anyone who ever felt unseen because of me." Silence followed, not uncomfortable, reflective. Amara placed a gentle hand over her heart. "Growth," she said, "begins with truth. A second chance, with boundaries." Amara faced the crowd. "I believe in second chances," she said, "but I believe more in earned ones." She turned to Evan. "You won't be returning to this role," she said calmly, "but I have offered to sponsor your training in hospitality ethics, if you choose to accept." Evan's eyes filled. "I do," he said quietly. That single moment taught more than any punishment ever could. A new standard. Amara addressed everyone. "From this day forward," she said, "this hotel will not be known only for luxury but for humanity." She announced new initiatives, mentorship programs for staff growth, clear accountability systems, open feedback channels without fear. "This isn't a rule change," she said. "It's a culture shift." Applause rose slowly, then fully. The guest who spoke up. A woman stepped forward from the crowd. "I was here that night," she said. "I recorded what happened." The room held its breath. "I deleted the video," the woman continued, "because I realized the story wasn't about embarrassment. It was about learning." Amara smiled softly. "Thank you," she said. The final scene. That evening, as Amara prepared to leave the hotel, a young boy approached her. "Are you really the boss?" he asked. Amara laughed gently. "Sometimes," she said. "What makes a boss good?" he asked. She knelt to his level. "How they treat people," she said. The boy nodded seriously. As Amara walked out into the evening, the hotel doors closed behind her, not as a fortress of status but as a place changed forever. Final lesson. Power doesn't need to raise its voice. It doesn't need to embarrass. It doesn't need to prove anything. True power listens. True power teaches. True power leaves the world better than it found it. If this full story moved you, subscribe to Black Inside 2.0 for more emotional, meaningful stories that reflect real struggles and real growth. Because dignity is not something you earn by status. It's something you give by choice.